In July of 2022, Pokemon Unite celebrated its 1-year anniversary. As a part of the festivities, the game introduced a new emblem system, new Pokemon, and most importantly, Boss Rush, a new game mode where players could test their skills. But in order to finish a run as quickly as possible, you need to master a precise button inputs, a number of boss mechanics, and a deep understanding of Pokemon Unite. The history of Boss Rush's world record begins from the day the game mode was released to today. During that time, some of the greatest players to touch the game had a chance with the record. For at least a period of time, they could say they were the best in the game at a Pokemon Classic. This is the world record history of Pokemon Unite Boss Rush. Unlike the typical Pokemon Unite experience, in Boss Rush, you're not playing against human opponents, but rather AI bosses, taken from various parts of the game. With 3 difficulty options, the most elite squads from around the world took to the extreme category as the one to speedrun. Understanding the interactions between various Pokemon and executing the fights perfectly is what would separate the best from the best. We'll get into the specifics of team compositions later into the video, but what you need to know is each boss has basic attacks which are unavoidable and moves that it will cast in the direction of its target Pokemon on your team. And Boss Rush has a unique mechanic with defenders that forces the boss to target them as long as they're within a close enough range. This means each team at minimum needs a defender, and because the defender is taking unavoidable damage, each team also needs a supporter to keep them alive. Each run starts on stage 1, with one of 3 randomly selected bosses. Avalugg and Dreadnought are the 2 easier ones when it comes to mechanics. Like all bosses, the tank will need to stay alive and keep the boss facing the opposite direction of their teammates. Araquanid is the 3rd option you can get on stage 1, and while this boss can be slightly annoying to take down, it appears to have lower stats compared to its counterparts, and is generally quicker to take down if properly executed. Call for Family summons Dewpiders to slow down your run. These can be kited away and taken down quite easily, but if left unattended, may wipe your entire team. Next is Stage 2, the Legendary Birds. Zapdos, which has haunted Pokemon Unite players for much time now, will continue to be frustrating to fight versus. Charge Beam and Brave Bird are quite easy to dodge if you're looking out for them, however Shockwave will require some team play. Shockwave spawns a ring of electricity around a random number of players. That ring will deal massive amounts of damage to other allied players if they were to enter it. This means if you're not careful, you can single-handedly be the one person to ruin an entire run and take down your entire team. Thankfully, the map is large enough that you can spread out and wait the Shockwave out. However, the best runners found a hidden mechanic on how to optimize this part of the run. See, the ring only damages your allies, not the Pokemon itself, and the small area around your own Pokemon is completely safe from electricity. Coordinated teams understood the importance of this mechanic, and with pixel perfection, their runs featured players stacking together to completely avoid the damage. Alternatively, you can hope to not get Zapdos at all, as Articuno is a much easier boss. It has a number of different moves like Powder Snow and Ice Beam, which are incredibly easy to dodge or can be tanked and healed away. The one mechanic that may catch players off guard is Blizzard. Articuno starts by first placing down a pile of snow, which will be followed up by a blizzard that deals massive damage for every second spent inside. Thankfully, you can hide behind the snow to completely avoid this damage. And now because Articuno is stuck casting Blizzard, you can hit them for free during this phase, and it proves to be one of the biggest time skips of the run. And finally, now that you've downed one of the elemental birds, you're guaranteed to face off versus Regigigas. Regi combines mechanics from both birds, as well as combos his own moves, proving to be very dangerous. Like Zapdos, Regigigas has access to Shockwave. However, resorting to the stacking strategy may not work here, because Regi will often combine Shockwave with another one of its moves, like Rock Tomb, sending rocks at a target player's location. If you move too quick to dodge, you'll instantly die to your teammates' shockwaves, or take them down first. If you take too long, however, the Rock Tombs will fly down and wipe your entire team. For this reason, being more dynamic in your positioning is important. Regigigas also has a move similar to Articuno's Blizzard in Rock Tomb plus Icy Wind. This combination of moves functions similar to Articuno's Blizzard. However, it'll cast twice each time Reggie goes for it. And similar to Articuno, you get to hit the boss for free, proving to be one of the more favorable move choices it can make. In between each cast, Regigigas will also elect to smack down with his basic attacks, which can cleave to Pokemon at a ranged distance if they happen to not be behind Reggie. Taking down Regigigas quickly isn't difficult, but does require some good luck as well as a good understanding of its moveset. With all of this underway, let me take you down a journey on how we formed the most optimal composition to complete this run in record time. As discussed earlier, a defender is seemingly required for an optimal run. They can hold the boss in place and tank all the damage for the team. A tank can hardly survive on their own, so a healing support is needed to keep them alive. From there, it's figuring out the most optimal damage trio in the game. Runners figured out early that sticking to one damage type would be the best, and this began the meta of shreds. Immediately, it came to mind that a special attack team would be led by Sylveon with its Hyper Voice, and a physical attack team would be led by Decidueye with Shadow Sneak. Combined with that, we tried countless combinations of damage dealers, pairing Decidueye with Pokemon like Cinderace and Duraludon, but even experimenting with things like Dragonite and Garchomp. Cinder and Dura proved to be the most consistent, as they were ranged Pokemon and could easily damage the bosses. But physical attackers in general didn't feel too great. One of the big reasons is how EXP works in this mode. Each boss awards you with exactly 2 levels every 50% of its HP bar you take down. And since you start the game at level 3, you would not hit level 9 until downing the second boss to half health. For Decidueye, this means you're stuck with Astonish for more than half the run. And for Pokemon who need to evolve twice, you spend more of the game not at your full potential. In contrast, Sylveon is done evolving after the first 50% of the first boss and immediately unlocks their Shred Hyper Voice. Combined with the newly released Glaceon, we knew we'd be set. Well, that leaves the defender and support options. At first, it became very clear that Slowbro is the premier pick for tank, a Pokemon that can survive on its own for quite a while and with a healer would never have the chance of going down. They also happen to have a move that does considerable damage and combined with Slowbro's ability has its own special defense shred. We did not want to rule out the other tanks to see if they had potential, which brings me to Boss Rush's next mechanic, the stun bar. Similar to most bosses in Unite, you cannot stun them, but in Boss Rush, they have a special stun bar. All your stuns get added to the bar, and when that reaches full, the boss is unable to move or cast and receives 100% bonus damage for the next 2 seconds. Unfortunately, while it was fun to ramp up the bar with Snorlax's block and Mamoswine, this method ultimately was discarded as compromising your damage for a stun was a time loss. Slowbro also had the benefit of its Unite move, which in Boss Rush had been adjusted to work on neutrals and held Pokemon in place, canceling any incoming moves. This Unite would prove to be very powerful for optimal runs. The support meta, however, started with Blissey, admittedly because of its strength from Unite, but later on we discovered that Boss Rush had done some adjustments to healing in the game. Self-healing from Lifesteal and damage moves like Water Shuriken had been significantly lowered or even removed, and healing from supports was increased drastically. This meant Eldegoss with Pollen Puff was giving AoE healing and damage at the same time and was simply the better option. So that was it. Slowbro and Eld, Sylveon and Glaceon needed one more special attacker. We experimented with Cram, which had the strength of being able to reset Air Slash easily on bosses and be immediately strong at level 3. We tried Espeon, who had percent damage and a similar level curve to the other evolutions. However, we landed on Gardevoir for our final comp. Guard's Psychic provided additional shred when Hyper Voice was down, and also had the ability to easily output damage in the form of Psyshock. With that underway, we were ready. practiced for hours and hours and hours until something magical happened. I don't want to risk dying. Our run is too clean here. Rip, DPS hard. Is this a run? Have we done it? That might be it, guys. I don't know. That was so clean, guys. That was actually our best run. Please send it. Wait, is it it? Yo, this looks so nice. I don't know. Add it up, guys. Add it up. Yo, we dropped... You're telling me we dropped 18 seconds? We're cracked.